you an in-depth perspective into women who are seeking legislative office or are serving as current legislators. Today, I am excited to be joined by Lenora Dawson and Debbie Richie, and both of them are seeking political office. Let us learn a little more about them. Ladies, would you walk us through your resume and share with us what position you're seeking? Debbie?
I'm Debbie Richie. I'm running for the County Council in District 3 in Anne Arundel County, which encompasses most of Pasadena. I've been a resident of the county for over 30, Pasadena for over 30 years. I started as a volunteer at my daughter's elementary school at PTA, became a PTA president, went on, became the County Council of PTA's president for 4 years, and then became the state president for Maryland PTA. At the conclusion of that, I had decided that that was it for me, and I was tired and going to take some time, and I ended up actually being appointed to the school board, where I was fortunate to serve for 5 years and actually 8 months. I was not reappointed to the school board, and at the conclusion of that, I just decided that I wasn't happy with the way that politics were going right now in Anne Arundel County, and I wanted to try to make a difference and make a stand. So I decided to run for county council. In preparation for that, I attended Emerge. I was fortunate enough to get into the Emerge class, which is a program that trains Democratic women, and was able to participate in that, and I'm a graduate of 2017. During my service on the board and further, I also was a member of the 21st Century Education Foundation, which works with businesses in conjunction with the school system. So I've had the ability to have a well-rounded volunteer career. In between all that, when raising my daughter, I also was a registered nurse for the Department of Veterans Affairs, where I was fortunate to be able to retire after 30 years of service.
Wonderful, wonderful. You've had a serious career already, and both in public service as well as in a professional field. So we are happy you're with us today. Lenora?
Yes, my name is Lenora Dawson. I am running for Clerk of Court, Baltimore City. I am a native Baltimorean, born and raised. I earned my bachelor's degree from Morgan State University and my master's degree from the University of Baltimore. I am currently an administrator. I've been an administrator in city government for 10 years. I was a former board member for Advocates for Children and Youth. I stepped down from that position to run for elected office. I also sit on a community roundtable on community change. I am excited about running, and I'm fun. You just wanted to resume, right?
That's fine.
We could have gone on for that.
That's fine. Well, again, I thank you for joining us. So my first question, ladies, is tell us a little bit about what interested you in politics.
What interested me in politics was the fact that normal citizens, regular citizens, really didn't seem to have a part. We were brought to the table after decisions were made. We were sort of given lip service in processes. For instance, we had, public public hearings on the budget a couple years ago. But they were on like Thursday, and the budget was going to be released on Monday. How much input does that, and did you really want to know? I want to be able to allow people to come to the table and be a part of the decision-making process. So that's really what the impetus was for me to become actively involved in politics.
And you know?
Well, politics was not in the plan for me. I had planned to pursue a doctorate degree, teach at the university level, and sit on the beach and write books. But while sitting in Baltimore City Circuit Court, I began to see how a lot of people in a community were not given clear, efficient, effective pathways to justice. I witnessed incidents when people would go before the judge, they would get released, the clerk's office would hold on to the paperwork, the people would be held over an additional 5 days, judge would quash a warrant, the warrant was never returned to have it removed from the system. So a young man 6 months later on his way to work get pulled over for a traffic stop and spend 3 days in jail and loses his job. So I got to the point where I decided that I could sit and talk about this and have conversations with friends and colleagues and complain about the system being very archaic and broken with no technology, and the culture of the environment not being very professional, not delivering good customer service to the citizens of Baltimore, which is what we deserve, because we as public servants work for the people, we work for you. So I felt that if I just sat on the sidelines and observed this, then I was partially complicit in the problem. So I made the decision to just step out and run. And also I am an Emerge graduate from 2017, and I am excited about this journey and looking forward to running.
Wonderful, wonderful. So share with us, what is your platform? If you are successful and make it into office, what are you saying is going to be the platform in which you're planning to achieve?
One of the first issues is the general development plan. We're in the process now in Anne Arundel County of developing the plan for the next 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so the first part is we want to make sure that as many people have the ability to have input into that. We've had listening sessions. There's a survey online that people can take. One of the things we also want to do is try to reach out to the young people. It's one thing to listen to what I want, but I need to know that the 20-year-old who will be living in our county for the next 40 years has an input into it. So that's the first one. Then we have to start addressing some of the issues and concerns. We have issues with salaries for our public servants, our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, and ensuring that the benefits and the salaries that we pay are competitive and will bring people to live in our county. Anne Arundel County is an excellent county to live in. There's something for everybody here, and so I want to make sure that our public servants can work here, live here, and play here. That part is also having to do with affordable housing, making sure that we are able to have our workforce live where they work. Also looking at the infrastructure. We have a lot of roads, but they're ill-repaired. We need some work on our roads. But also we need to look at our mass transit and the lack of the mass transit. People spend 2 hours on the road going to and from work. Is that a good way to spend your time, or can we think about other ways to be able to do that? Do we talk about encouraging businesses to do telecommuting so that people can work from home 1 or 2 days a week? And then the environment. We're surrounded in Anne Arundel County. We're surrounded by the bay and waterways, and we need to make sure that when we're doing development and when we're playing, that we are protecting our waterways, and so that we will have that for future generations. I remember as a kid growing up in Cape St. Clair being able to swim in the water, and now you can't. And so we want to make sure that our kids are able to have the same kind of abilities to play out in the environment as I was able to do.
Lenora, what's your platform?
Well, I think the first thing I need to do is educate the public on the function of the clerk's office, because many people are not aware. The clerk is considered the official record keeper, is also responsible for all criminal, civil, and juvenile actions. The clerk provides the staff to the judicial bench and the jury commissioner. The jury commissioner is actually independently appointed by the judicial bench, but the clerk supplies the staff for the jury commissioner. Also, the clerk is responsible for land records, marriage licensing, business licensing, and maintaining case flow. So when you come in and you have a case and that case is scheduled, that's the responsibility of the clerk office. What has happened, the Baltimore City Clerk's Office has been mismanaged for years. It is very archaic. There's no technology. If you come into the clerk's office, you can't even pay with a debit or credit card if you're buying a business license, or if you're paying for a marriage license, or if you're going to land records. You cannot take care of any of these processes online. Fortunately, the state of Maryland is rolling out e-filing through MDEC, which will be coming to Baltimore. Baltimore is actually last on the list. They have implemented it in 17 counties across the state already. The good thing about Baltimore City being last on the list is we push more paper than any other clerk's office in the state of Maryland. So hopefully all of the kinks will be worked out. I plan to have the staff trained ahead of time and ready to go when this system is worked out. I'm also willing to train paralegals and anyone from any law firm or any citizens that want to learn how to do e-filing, because e-filing is going to actually help move us into the 21st century, because when you e-file, you can upload all of your papers online, you receive your notices via email. I'm just really excited. Also, I think that the culture of an organization is about leadership. And as a woman of integrity, I believe in transparency and accountability. I think that we have to understand as public servants, when we do our jobs, we actually affect the lives of other people, which cause a ripple effect across Baltimore City. So we have to hold ourselves accountable. I ask that you, the public, hold us as your public servants accountable, because we do work for you. So I have a lot of ideas in terms of upgrading and implementing technology, but also shifting the culture in city government. I spent most of my career in private sector. When I came to city government, I could absolutely not believe that the bar was set so low. For me, I believe excellence should be the norm and never the exception. So I believe that as a leader, I have a fundamental responsibility to also provide a clean and safe environment for employees. We have had a situation with bed bug issues in Baltimore City Circuit Courthouse East. I'm actually in Courthouse West. And the fix to that was simply exterminate the problem. But as opposed to that, some of the employees were attacked for complaining about the issue. So I think there are a lot of systemic issues there. I think that they're all fixable. I am willing to come in and train the staff and support the staff and give them everything they need in order for us to do a great job to serve you, the citizens of Baltimore City.
Wonderful platforms, I'm telling you. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. What has been one of your most important accomplishments, either in your public or private life?
I would say it's hard to just kind of narrow it down to one. As a public servant, I love public service. One of the things that I love to do, especially within the capacity of my job, is to go out into the community and teach people about safety. I also own a small business where I help individuals who were victims of maltreatment and neglect. I help them to get their lives back on track and to get them to see their power from within and how they can make decisions to change their lives. So I think for me, working with children who are victims of maltreatment, neglect, and trauma, I think that's one of the things that's nearest and dearest to my heart, is just helping people in the community stand in their power unapologetically.
It's not specifically one thing that I've done, but the way that I do things. I'm very much about community outreach and very much about trying to bring as many people together to be part of whatever it is that we're part of. So for instance, when I was on the Board of Education, you come to our meetings twice a month and you can sit there and you can watch us on the dais, and there wasn't a whole lot of interaction. So we decided that we wanted to further that. We wanted to be able to go out and talk with and meet people in the public in a non-threatening type of environment. So we did. I went with another person and we went out and we just went to the mall and we had a table and we just stood to talk to people when they came by. And then we decided to do it in a, not a more formalized way, but in a more thoughtful way. And we started, the first set was a year where we went to 4 different libraries in 4 parts of the county and just had people come in and talk about issues and concerns and problems. And that really was very effective. It started to break down that barrier of us and them and allow people to be able to come in and to talk with people and to feel like you knew somebody. It's been my experience that when you know somebody, it's easier to then bring them a problem and then for us to work together to have a solution. So that's really about, that's really what I've tried to do all through my career. When I was in PTA, we started with 3 people at Jacobsville Elementary School on the board. When I left, there was a board of 10. And that was through bringing people together and helping them to work out.
Wonderful. So tell me, ladies, who is your personal hero?
Wow.
Well, that's going to make me cry because, and I cry all the time. It drives me crazy. And people who know me know that. But my mom was my personal hero. She is no longer with me. She's been gone for over 20 years. But what she taught me was to be strong and to be unapologetic for who you wanted to be. Not to capitulate to be what people think you should be. Single parent, I'm an only child, and it was just me and my mom. And so I now have a granddaughter, and I see a lot of my mom in my granddaughter, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because my mom was also very opinionated and very strong-willed. So I have a 3-year-old granddaughter who is opinionated and very strong-willed.
Well, I would also have to say my mom. My mother was a housewife, so she was able to stay home with us and take care of us as children. And she was the most compassionate, empathetic person I have ever met. My mother fed many of the children in the neighborhood. Any given day you could come to my house, some kid was sitting at the table anticipating a meal. And I remember having a conversation with my mom when I was about 10 years old. I came in the house with some friends after playing on the playground, and I said to her, I said, Mom, why is someone always here eating our food? And she said to me, she said, listen, she used to call me old lady. And she said, listen, old lady, I want you to understand that we have extra, and I always make extra. I don't believe that any child should ever be hungry. And you need to understand that this community is part of our family, and we have a responsibility to take care of each other. So that stuck with me, and that is how I walk through my everyday life. Because of that, my mother.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us, why should someone vote for you? And why are you the most qualified person for your position?
Well, I would like you to vote for me because you believe I am you. I would like you to vote for me because you understand that I will speak to you and for you. Decisions, I have beliefs, I have things that I like, but I can't make a decision just for me. And it's about in a community, because what affects one affects many. And so I want people to understand that while I may be the person up there making the decision, that you should be able to come to me and be able to share what your concerns are. I also do the homework. Sometimes the papers, I remember on the board, we'd get a board packet and they were yay thick, and I would think to myself, oh no, but I read those papers and I read that information because, first off, somebody had taken the time to put it together, but also because the information that I needed to make a sound decision, one that would impact and affect many people, needed to have the work put into it. So I put the work into it. I would rather be behind the camera doing the work instead of in front of the camera, because it's not about me, it's about the work that we do.
Well, I would ask the citizens of Baltimore City for their vote because I'm a woman of integrity. My integrity is uncompromised. I believe in transparency and accountability. I will show up every day and I will work for you because you are my boss. I believe that we have a fundamental responsibility in city government to be effective, to be efficient. I am also an individual who operates from more of a collective consciousness as opposed to the ego. So I make decisions that are based in the best interest of the whole. Because for me, there is no separation between us. I am the community. I live in Baltimore. I am Baltimore. And I ask for your support because I want you to know that I will always show up, I will always tell you the truth, and I will always do the right thing.
Wonderful. Now, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I just want people to know that change sometimes is hard, and the way that change occurs sometimes can be difficult and messy. But if we work together, then we can get over the hurdles of the change, and we can really make a difference. Pasadena is a great area. I've loved living there. We've lived there, like I said, for 30 years. My daughter went to school there. And that's where I plan to be for the rest of my life. And I want a community that is a community. I don't want a community that's separate little individual communities. And I think that we can have that. It's not going to be without a little bit of headache, but I believe that it's possible.
I would like to say to the citizens of Baltimore this. Baltimore city government is failing us on many levels. I think that in order for us to implement change, we have to support and elect qualified candidates. I think that when we do not elect qualified candidates and we continue to put people in positions of power who is responsible for determining our fate, then we are complicit in the condition in the city in which we live. So I would ask you to use your voice, your power, and your vote. Show up to the polls and use that power and make sure that you vote. Do not check out from the process. Many people in Baltimore, we've had very low voter turnout, and I think that now is the time that we start moving as a collective body so that we can move Baltimore forward.
Yeah. Well, ladies, believe it or not, our time has come to a close. It just goes so quickly when we're having a good conversation. So I would like for you to share with our viewers how they can reach you and learn more about your platforms and what you have to offer through your candidacy.
You can reach me through Facebook at Friends of Debbie Richie, or my website, www.electdebbieritchie.com. Or you can reach me by email, dtritchie@gmail.com.
Again, my name is Lenora Dawson. You can reach me at www.dawson4clerk.com. You can reach me on Facebook, Lenora Dawson, or Lenora Dawson at Dawson for Clerk. Also, you can reach me via email at Lenora, Lenora, .Dawson, Dawson, 1228 @gmail.com.
Well, this has been Her Voice, and I'm Jules Dunham Howie. I've been your host, and I thank you for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this brings our show to a close. Thank you for joining us. We've had a wonderful time. My name is Jules Dunham Howie, and this is Her Voice.